Hey everyone, this is Nikki from Curiosity Quills Press, and today I'm going to get you in the mood for Halloween with a little trick-or-treating discussion. Although really, I think this video is more of like a treat-or-treat kind of video because we're introducing a new series today. It's called Beauty and a Book, and I'm going to be talking about a beauty product or technique every week and then talking about a book. So really, what could be better? So let's start with beauty first, and guys, don't worry, it's going to be like 4 minutes of beauty and then it's going to be some awesome book picks. They are not your girlfriend's chicklet, I promise, so just stay tuned, alright? So the first product I want to talk about in this series is Kat Von D's Everlasting Liquid Lipstick, and I picked this in this specific color because I thought it would be really good for Halloween and for the fall time. Obviously, dark lipstick is really trendy in the fall and like the darker kind of tones of winter, but this one's even more perfect because it's called Vampira, so very fitting for the season. And I love this for a couple of reasons. One, the pigmentation is fantastic. This is like one swipe of lipstick and it's solid, it's dark, which is fantastic. My favorite part about it and the other side of it is this, nothing, which is like, if you're a girl, your brain probably just exploded because non-transferable lipstick is basically non-existent to find. So I highly recommend this product, especially in the darker colors for the season, and it's again Kat Von D's Everlasting Liquid Lipstick. Looks like this. And so there's Vampira is the color I'm wearing, but I also recommend looking at a Lolita, I think it is. It's a little bit redder and it's really pretty. So that's the product for today, and now we're moving on to the books. And I'm actually doing more than one book. I'm doing a series for the first one because it seemed perfect to do. So this is the Dark Flower series by J.P. Sloan, and when I say it's the perfect Halloween read, I am 100% serious. This is literally the best read I could think of for the Halloween season. So let's talk about the first one first. This is Chris Merchant, can't talk, and this is where it all starts with Dorian Gray, the main character, who is a hexes and charm expert, and he's kind of, they describe it as he's cornered the marketplace. He's kind of like the guy to go to for hexes, charms, that kind of stuff. I really like occult anything and the whole like witchcraft, Wiccan sort of side of things. So I was automatically going to read this no matter what. However, I was really surprised by the way that the author wrote the magic into it. So it's in my opinion, there's two kinds of writing when you're talking about magic and fantasy and that kind of stuff. There's the writing that makes it really unique and cool and very clearly fantastical, though, where it's more of like an escape. You're kind of getting pulled into a world not necessarily realistic, not necessarily following our sort of laws and that kind of thing. And then there are the novels that basically write magic into our current societal like norms and make it realistic to the point where all you keep thinking is, oh, this could totally happen. This could totally be real. And I'm a fan of both. And when I read the back cover of this, I kind of thought it was going to fit into the first category. However, I'm pleasantly surprised to say that it fit in the second category. And I don't think anyone fully understands the magical mechanics of the world quite yet because the author keeps kind of chipping away at it as he goes, which is really cool. But basically, everything has a balance. Everything has like a qualities or costs or consequences or however you want to call it, and karma is a huge part of this, which is kind of hilarious. I love when characters get what they deserve, and that kind of repercussive sort of storytelling, which is fantastic because this is all about karma. So Dorian Gray, like I said, starts kind of being in the hexacle marketplace, and everything is kind of going along, they're explaining the world, and then his ex-girlfriend Carmen comes and basically says, hey, I totally sold my soul to your competition who is awful, and I have 2 weeks to buy it back or I lose my soul forever. Sorry we broke up, but can you help? Yeah, that's so he has a little bit of a rude awakening and is kind of thrust back into her world, and so to try and like win her back and win her affections, he decides to, sure, like I'll totally go and try and save your soul for you. So he goes in this mission to try and get the soul, and the biggest issue though is that he has to kind of fine line balance his actions between using dark magic and using good magic, and he represents himself and sees himself as like this good person, which is really interesting because his character is is like so unlikable. He's likable, but he's not like a nice guy. I mean, he's, I guess, a good guy. He doesn't use dark magic, and he tries to stay on the good side of karma and that kind of thing, but he's not a nice guy. He's kind of, actually, he reminds me a lot of Gregory House, and if you guys have seen the TV series House, he's egocentric, he's snarky, he's sarcastic all the time. I mean, he's just not like a pleasant, he's not a charmer, so to speak, which I kind of like that's the way it is, because you always see the character from their perspective, so you can always you understand their choices, you understand the way they think, and so you end up liking them. And there are multiple times in this where all I thought was, why would he do that? Why would you do that? Why, Dorian? Why? So I actually really enjoyed that. Sometimes it's not good when you're like that with a character, but this was like unlikable in the good way, where I actually did like him. And so he is trying to do all this stuff. He has to try and not use dark magic, or the Presidium, which is kind of like the policing system, I don't know, there will be consequences. I don't think it really ever says exactly what will happen, but there will be consequences. So then in the sequel, I'm trying really hard not to give spoilers at all, so I'm not going to say how it ends or anything that happens with that, but basically his whole venture for the first book is trying to save Carmen's soul and trying to like walk that balance between helping someone and helping someone with dark magic, because that's the only way to do it. So in this book, it's a couple months after the first one, I mean, which is awesome. So you don't lose too much time, and everything seems to sort of have gone back to normal. His market's doing really well. He's just kind of doing his thing, selling hexes and stuff. And then women start dying. They start being attacked by demons and dying, and he's kind of like, well, this isn't cool. But he doesn't really do anything about it until one of his friend's daughters is attacked, and he has to do whatever he can to try and save her. So he starts trying to find out this demon and what he's doing and how to stop him and all of this kind of stuff, and he gets just thrown into some really, really messed up stuff that it makes it even harder to stay on like the good side of karma. And I really liked, so the first book, the best part about it was the tie-ins, and it was just really tightly written. There was like little tiny things that you just kind of dismissed. You didn't even know, like an envelope, for example, that you just had no idea was a big deal, and then later on it pulls in. So that was my favorite part about the first book. And the second book, my favorite part is that in my brain, I'm like watching him do all of these things and thinking, oh, this is what I would do. This is how you should do it. And then every time I think of how to do it, and he thinks the same thing basically, and then something awful happens, or like basically it doesn't work. And so it's like me and Dorian together trying to solve our way through this, and it's just not working basically. And so he, at the end of this one, it kind of leaves it as a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it's the balance thing, but it's trying to see if he is going to kind of go into damnation or not. And so having published the author, I know that, and I think he actually mentions it in his blog, I know that the first 3 are supposed to be like his descent into evil. So it's not as evil as I thought it was going to be in the second novel. Like in the first, I thought it was going to introduce, and I thought it was going to get really rough. And it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, which is terrifying, because now all I think of with the third book is how much hell poor Dorian is gonna have to go through. So those are the 2 books. I barely said anything about them because I really don't want to give anything away, but I highly recommend checking them out for Halloween. And if you want to read them for Halloween, I'm just going to warn you right now that the third in the series isn't out until July. So you're going to be so happy that I made you read the series, and then you're going to hate me because there's like 7 months before the next book comes out. But it's definitely worth it, and I highly recommend it. So that's all for me. I hope you guys check out beauty products and definitely the books, and let me know in your comments what you're reading for Halloween, and hope you guys have a good day.